There
Oh,
it
no.
is. There it goes.
All right. Well,
Okay.
good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to our second and final installation of Maya Angelou, Letter to My Daughter. So today we're going to take up and read a couple of other short stories in there. And then we also have Amazing Peace, a Christmas poem that she wrote also that we're going to go over tonight.
Good. Thank you.
All right.
Thank you for that nice gift, Professor.
You are so welcome. Enjoy that.
Thank you. Thank
You're
you for the
welcome. You're
gift.
welcome. So Dr. Angelou is a very reputable author. She received and served on 2 presidential committees. She got the Presidential Medal of Arts in 2000, the Lincoln Medal in 2008, and she also received 3 Grammy Awards. President Clinton requested that she compose a poem to read in his inauguration in 1993. And her reading of the poem on the Pulse of the Morning was broadcast live all over the world. And one thing about Dr. Angelou is her beautiful voice. When she reads, it just bolshuates through and kind of vibrates. Makes me think of the book we read on the gospel singers. She has that strength in her voice, that strength in there. She didn't consider herself a singer. She did a little dancing, which gets us to her years abroad. Her years abroad, and she toured in Europe from 54 to 55 with the opera group Porgy and Bess.
Oh.
She had studied modern dance with Martha Graham.
Wow.
That's of Alvin Ailey.
Wow.
She recorded her first album, Calypso Lady, in 58.
Wow.
So she was very artistic.
Yeah.
She was a part of the Harlem Writers Guild when she moved to New York in the late 50s. And she also acted in some historic Broadway productions like The Blacks by Jean Genet, and she performed Cabaret for Freedom. So this woman is just so multifaceted, which is what I find about a lot of these people that we're reading. They're so artistic and have so many multiple talents beyond just their writing, but the singing, the dancing, writing, screenplays, etc., are amazing.
And
So,
with her voice, her speaking voice,
right?
And she's an opera singer.
No, not an opera singer, more of a, how would we call it?
It was the opera Porgy and Bess. I was assuming it was opera. Oh.
Right. Well, it is an opera, but she danced in it. So actually, we're going to show this, how she got involved with Porgy and Bess. That is our next video. So right here, and then we'll get to see her a little bit better.
Oh,
beautiful. Okay, here we go.
Well, Porgy and Bess came and performed in San Francisco, and someone told me they are looking for a dancer. So I thought, and they would pay much more, and I'd get a chance to travel around the United States and maybe get a chance to go to Europe. I auditioned for them, and they accepted me. I sang the role Ruby, but the truth is I couldn't really sing. I mean, I could sing, but I wasn't a trained singer. I really was a dancer. And at least once every 2 or 3 weeks, one of the singers would say to me, Maya, I'm sorry to tell you, but you flatted that G, or you flatted that A. I didn't even know I was singing in the alphabet. I just sang the role.
So that I thought was just really cute. So let's go to that story, Porgy and Bess, in the book. So that one starts, and then again, I gotta figure this computer out.
Are your kids in grades 6 to 11? Harvard?
No, they're not. Okay. 1 second. This was the problem I was having a little bit earlier.
Page 63?
Yes, I believe so.
Okay.
1 second. Nope, that's not it either. 1 second. I'm going to stop sharing and find that. While you guys find that, it is on page
63. 63. 63.
63. Porgy and Bess. Okay, 1 second, you guys. Oh, there it is. Okay. Yeah, I have to hit back on the button in order to get back for some reason, because it is a Google Doc. Okay, can you all see it now? Or not really?
Yes.
You can? Slideshow. Okay, Porgy and Bess.
Yeah.
We can see it now. Okay, perfect. So Porgy and Bess, she wrote about that, starting on page 63. She said, Porgy and Bess, the George and Ira Gershwin opera, was still bringing audiences to their feet on its European tour. The colorful cast was still robust and welcoming to me, but I was anxious to leave the tour and return to San Francisco, California. I was riddled with guilt because when I joined the cast, I left my 8-year-old son, Guy, with my mother and aunt in San Francisco. The opera company offered me a sizable increase in salary if I would send for him, but there were already 2 children traveling with their parents who exhibited behavior that I did not want my son to see or imitate. I was principal dancer and sang the role Ruby. I received a decent salary, which I sent home, but my guilt assured me that my money was not sufficient. So I stayed in pensionees or youth hostels or with families to save money.
Mhm.
After the curtain came down in the theater, I doubled singing the blues in nightclubs, and in the daytime, I taught dance wherever I could find students, and I also sent that money to my mother. What a hardworking mom she is. Look at all those jobs she had. As I read about her, she had like 2 jobs at a time. And she was always trying to take care of her children. I'm on page 65 now at the last paragraph. I went to my voice teacher, my mentor, and the only person I could speak to openly as I went up the stairs to Frederick Wilkerson's studio. I heard a student doing vocal exercises. Wilkie, as he was called, told me to go into the bedroom. I'm going to make you a drink. Leaving the students, he brought in a glass of scotch, which I drank, although at the time I was not a drinker. The liquor put me to sleep. When I awakened and heard no voices from the studio, I went in. Wilkie asked me what's wrong. I told him I was going crazy. He said no, and then asked what's really wrong. Am I upset that he had not heard me? Had said, I thought about killing myself today and killing Guy. I'm telling you, I'm going crazy. Wilkie said, sit down right here at this table. Here is a yellow pad, and here's a ballpoint pen. I want you to write down your blessings. I said, Wilkie, I don't want to talk about that. I'm telling you, I'm going crazy. He said, first, write down that I said, write down and think about the millions of people all over the world who could not hear a choir or a symphony or their own babies crying. Write down, I can hear, thank God. Then write down that you can see this yellow pad and think of the millions of people around the world who cannot see a waterfall or flower blooming or their lover's face. Write, I can see, thank God. Then write down that you can read. Think of the millions of people around the world who cannot read the news or of the day or a letter from home, a stop sign or a busy street. Or I followed Wilkie's orders, and when I reached the last line in the first page of the yellow pad, the agent of madness was rooted. Wow. Haven't we all kind of been there? I love that she writes this in here. Thoughts on that? Go ahead, Miss Ruth. I thought you were saying something. I'm sorry.
No, I lost the stream.
Oh, okay. Lost the screen. Oh, okay.
I don't know, my computer is, and I guess it's the weather.
It is. It
Could be.
That could be. But I love that she wrote this in here about her blessings. And remember, it's a letter to her daughter. And there are times when we can feel lost, when grief comes upon us, or anxiety, because she was going through a lot. She was separated from her child. She's over here touring. She's trying to make it. You know, she's at the top. She's touring with this Ira Gershwin opera. I mean, it's amazing. Yet she felt like, to the point of depression, ending her life and that of her child. I just love that this is included because it's a reminder to us to count those blessings.
And another thing is that we're reading this writing today,
Yes.
and she's been deceased now for a short time, but she still
Right.
has many who follow her writing and who still
That's
read
right.
her. And here we are reading, after so much time has passed,
Yes.
something about this woman that we like and idolize, and maybe not think of her as being perfect, but that we're reading something about her when she was going through her dark days. And sometimes we forget that even those that we love and adore and maybe idolize in some way, whether they're movie stars or athletes or whoever, that we forget that they too are human, and that we were reading something that showed their humanness and maybe a dark day. And we have to remember that even those that we idolize have dark days.
That's
just like us.
That's the truth.
Yeah.
So true. So true. Beautiful, beautiful. I wanted to share that and just show how beautiful and young she was during that time. When that was one of her darkest times. Okay, how many of you are familiar with Celia Cruz, the singer? Azúcar. Not familiar with her, the Cuban singer? We're gonna have to pick her up. Turn to page 79. I want to read the story about Celia Cruz.
Oh, Celia Cruz, yes.
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 Celia Cruz, thank you.
Yes.
Brianna, if you can send an email to Joanne, she's trying to log in.
Sure, I will do that.
Thank you. So Celia Cruz on 79. It says, there are certain artists who belong to all the people everywhere, all the time. The list of singers, musicians, and poets must include David the harpist from the Old Testament, Aesop the storyteller, Omar Khayyam the tent maker, Shakespeare, the bard of Avon, Louis Armstrong, the genius of New Orleans, Kulthum, the soul of Egypt, Frank Sinatra, Mahalia Jackson, Dizzy Gillespie, Ray Charles. The names go on until there was no breath to announce them. But the name of Celia Cruz, the great Cuban singer, will always figure among them as one who belonged to all people. Her songs in Spanish were weighted with sympathy for the human spirit. In the early 1950s, I first listened to a Celia Cruz record. And although I spoke Spanish fairly well and loved her music, I found it hard to translate. I went on a search for everything about Celia Cruz and realized that if I was to become her devoted fan, I had to study Spanish more diligently. I did. I enlisted the help of my brother Bailey in New York to find every record she ever made and every magazine that mentioned her name. Spanish improved. Years later, when I worked with Tito Puente, Willie Bobo, and Mongo Santa Maria, I could my own on stage as well as in conversation with them backstage.
Yeah.
I had begun singing professionally, but my singing left a lot to be desired. I held my own on stage because my rhythms were exciting. Some I have grown up with, and others I have found and lifted whole and wholly from the records of Celia Cruz. Cruz came to the United States and played in a theater on Upper Broadway in New York City. And I went to see her every day of her stay. She exploded on the stage and was sensual and touchingly present. From her, I learned to bring everything I had onto the stage with me. And now, some 40 plus years later, without music and by simply reading, I'm able to read poetry and satisfy audiences. Much of the presence I bring to my performances, I learned from Celia Cruz. All great artists draw from the same resource, the human heart, which tells us all that we are more alike than we are unalike.
Very nice.
I love Celia Cruz personally. She's
Very
one of
nice.
my favorites. And when I read this connection with Maya, I'm like, oh my goodness, I see that as well.
Oh.
What do you guys think of that little story? What did that kind of resonate anything or bring any thoughts to mind?
Well, Celia Cruz spans time when Cuba was going through its own difficulties politically and economically. Their battles with the Americans, their battles politically with leaders who wanted to become the leader, but ignore the working people and the poor, and Cuban and the Cubans who were always loyal to their country. And they were not going to leave no matter what happened. Yes, there were boats that came across during bad times and people who did flee during the Castro regime. But at the same time, the Cubans are a whole different kind of Hispanic or Latino mindset because it's their country that keeps them and their hearts together. And Celia Cruz, when she sings,
Mhm.
if you're familiar with her voice and the tone and the timbre of her voice when she sings, she's singing to an audience and everyone, but she is singing to the Cubans.
What
Yes.
about wouldn't take?
She is beautiful.
Mhm.
Love her, love
Mhm.
her. And I have for a long, long time,
Mhm.
long time. So
Yeah.
I was really impressed that that was one of the people that she admired. And you see how she studied her, read everything about her. I mean, she was obsessed with her, and something
Mhm.
about her she wanted to emulate.
Mhm.
So I want you guys to hear her sing. How about that?
Oh, great.
Okay, so let's see. Let's share this. And let's hear Maya
Things
sing
on
a
my
little bit.
journey now.
Well, two women. So
That's an invitation nobody turns down.
I'm very pleased. Anyway, they came and I talked to them
Hold on, there's a
about
portion in here where
things
she's going
that
to actually
I had worked out or
sing.
I was working on or should work on.
Giant celebration.
Eccentric. You can talk about me, Mount Zion, much as you please. Mount Zion, when I talk about you, Mount Zion, gonna be on my knees. Mount Zion on my journey now. Mount Zion on my journey now. Mount Zion, and I wouldn't take nothing. Mount Zion for my journey now. Mount Zion.
If you
That's
don't, if you
beautiful.
don't love that.
Oh my Lord, I love it. And I love the way the old people sing it in the church.
Yeah.
They put their hands way on the big
Yeah, right,
way.
right.
And
So they
just-
get up.
That's
Yeah,
right.
Get up.
That's right. That's right.
Anyway, I just.
On every vacation at a
Sorry,
Bible home,
stop
there's someone
that.
like you. Who re-
1 second. Can you all hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, perfect. I had to put that on mute, but I thought that was beautiful. I just wanted you to hear her sing just a little bit.
Oh, yeah.
Um,
And Charlie
in her own
Rose is so
voice,
good.
so that
Charlie
we could
Rose.
hear her
his-
beautiful voice
Yeah.
sing.
And
bit.
I like
So
Charlie
that was another
Rose.
story
Yeah.
that really touched me. I'm sorry,
Wow.
Chris, go ahead.
I was just
Mhm.
gonna say, what better audience than Charlie Rose? He is so good.
Yeah.
If you followed him and you're familiar with him being just himself all the time,
Right.
he knew and expected something, but I don't think he expected that
No.
from her. And he was so happy that she was comfortable enough to be herself.
Wasn't that awesome?
Yeah.
Loved it.
Yes.
All right. So Celia,
Nice.
now another person that was really important to Maya, was, I went ahead too far, was Coretta Scott King.
Mm.
And they were friends. And so let's see, that starts on page 107. Mrs. Coretta Scott King. So it says, over the last few years and even the last few months, I have said reluctant goodbye to friends I have known for over 40 years. Friends I miss, with whom I learned many of life's sweetest and most painful lessons. I still miss James Baldwin and Alex Haley and the loud talking, shouting, laughing, crying weekends that we shared. Betty Shabazz is near enough for me to remember that what she was wearing when I last cooked dinner for her. Tom Feelings and I produced a book together, and he drew a portrait of my late mother, which hangs in my bedroom. I spoke to Ozzie Davis a few days before he died and agreed to stand in for him and his wife Ruby Dee at an engagement they could not cover in Washington, D.C. And recently I waved farewell to Coretta Scott King, a chosen sister. As I approach my birthday every year, I'm reminded that Martin Luther King Jr. was assassinated on my birthday. And each year, each year for the past 30 years, Coretta Scott King and I have sent flowers or cards to each other or shared telephone calls on April 4th. I find it very difficult to let a friend or beloved one go into that country of no return. I love the way she wrote that. And I answer the heroic question, death, where is thy sting? With, it is here in my heart and my mind and my memories. I am besieged with painful awe at the vacuum left by the dead. Where did she go? Where is he now? Are they, as the poet James Baldwin Johnson said, resting in the bosom of Jesus? If so, what about my Jewish loves, my Japanese dears, and my Muslim darlings, into whose bosom are they cuddled? I find relief from the question only when I concede that I am not obligated to know everything. I remind myself it is sufficient to know what I know, and that what I know may not always be true. When I find myself feeling with rage over the loss of a beloved, I try as soon as possible to remember that my
Let me call you back. I'm on a book
question
club
should be focused on what I learned
discussion group here
or
right now.
what I
Okay,
have
bye.
yet to learn from my departed love, what legacy was left, which can help me in the art of living a good life. And then her poem, did I learn to be kinder, to be more patient and more generous, more loving, more ready to laugh, and more easy to accept honest tears? If I accept those legacies of my departed beloved, I am able to say thank you to them for their love and thank you to God for their lives.
Oh,
I just
That
love
is
that.
beautiful.
Isn't
that's
that
so,
just
oh, that's beautiful. Oh, that's
oh,
nice.
beautiful.
Oh, that's
Beautiful.
beautiful. Oh, my goodness.
I just love that. So let's look at her at Coretta Scott King's funeral service.
Oh,
She, of course, spoke there. And welcome, Miss Joanne.
Still I rise. Dr.
Well,
Angela,
hello, everyone. I'm
sister,
sorry I'm late, but I finally got on.
to the family. Won't we welcome our
Thank
dear
you.
poet, Sister Dr. Maya Angelou.
I open my mouth to the Lord and I won't turn back, no. I will go. I shall go. I'll see what the end is gonna be.
oh,
In the midst of national tumult, in the median of international violent uproar, Coretta Scott King's face remained a study in serenity. In times of interior violent storms, she sat, her hands resting in her lap calmly, like good children sleeping. Her passion was never spent in public display. She offered her industry and her energies to action toward righting ancient and current wrongs in this world. She believed religiously in nonviolent protest. She believed it could heal a nation mired in a history of slavery and all its excesses. She believed nonviolent protest religiously could lift up a nation rife with racial prejudices and racial bias. She was the quintessential African-American woman, born in the small town repressive South, born of flesh and destined to become iron.
I'm gonna stop there. Born of flesh and destined to become iron. Isn't that a beautiful thing to say about your friend?
mhm,
She is just a remarkable, remarkable woman, whom I'm so glad that we were able to study her book, Letters to My Daughter. Those were the ones that really stood out to me. Before we go into Amazing Peace, were there any stories or poems in here that you guys wanted to talk about that you really liked? Any particular ones? And you don't have to. Was just curious. I think it's a book that, oops, I need to stop sharing. I want to share with my nieces I think that it really has a lot to offer for young people. It's timeless, like Chris said. We are reading this today, and it'll be something that we could read 5 years, 10 years, 20 years, 30 years, 40 years from now. It's the thing of life, the thing of living, which is what Maya Angelou was brilliant at. Well, just love her, just love her. So now we, for the holidays, each of you got a copy of Amazing Peace. And it is also a children's book. And so we're going to hear her read it in her own words on the children's book. So let's get there. And you will enjoy this.
When I was invited to attend the Christmas tree lighting at the White House and to deliver a poem on the occasion, I was honored. Tsunami and major earthquake, Katrina and Rita had already happened to our world. I thought of the evacuees and realized that in times of hostilities and natural disasters, each human being becomes an evacuee. I thought that what we need now most, more than food and water, is peace. I wrote this poem, Amazing Peace. Thunder rumbles in the mountain passes, and lightning rattles the eaves of our houses. Flood waters await in our avenues. Snow falls upon snow, falls upon snow, to avalanche over unprotected villages. The sky slips low and gray and threatening. We question ourselves, what have we done to so affront nature? We interrogate and worry God. Are you there? Are you there really? Does the covenant you made with us still hold? Into this climate of fear and apprehension, Christmas enters, streaming lights of joy, ringing bells of hope, and singing carols of forgiveness high up in the bright air. The world is encouraged to come away from rancor, come the way of friendship. It is the glad season. Thunder ebbs to silence, and lightning sleeps quietly in the corner. Flood waters recede into memory. Snow becomes a yielding cushion to aid us as we make our way to higher ground. Hope is born again in the faces of children. It rides on the shoulders of our aged as they walk into their sunsets. Hope spreads around the earth, brightening all things, even hate, which crouches breeding in dark corridors. In our joy, we think we hear a whisper. At first it is too soft, then only half heard. We listen carefully as it gathers strength. We hear a sweetness. The word is peace. It is loud now, louder than the explosion of bombs. We tremble at the sound. We are thrilled by its presence. It is what we have hungered for, not just the absence of war, but true peace, a harmony of spirit, a comfort of courtesies, security for our beloveds and their beloveds. We clap hands and welcome the peace of Christmas. We beckon this good season to wait a while with us. We Baptist and Buddhist, Methodist and Muslim, say, come peace, come and fill us and our world with your majesty. We, the Jew and the Jainist, the Catholic and the Confucian, implore you, stay a while with us, so we may learn by your shimmering light how to look beyond complexion and see community. It is Christmas time, a halting of hate time. On this platform of peace, we can create a language to translate ourselves to ourselves and to each other. At this holy instant, we celebrate the birth of Jesus Christ into the great religions of the world. We jubilate the precious advent of trust. We shout with glorious tongues the coming of hope. All the earth's tribes loosen their voices to celebrate the promise of peace. We, angels and mortals, believers and non-believers, look heavenward and speak the word aloud. Peace. We look at our world and speak the word aloud. Peace. We look at each other, then into ourselves, and we say without shyness or apology or hesitation, peace, my brother. Peace, my sister. Peace, my soul.
Beautiful.
Beautiful.
Isn't it just beautiful? And again, timeless. We have a war going on right now. You know, during the time when she wrote it, there was Katrina going on. Peace is always necessary. I hope that you would enjoy that poem because I sent that to you all, and your book looks a little different. I have the children's book one because I wanted to read it to my nieces and nephews so that they could enjoy it. Oops, it's doing that again with my screen. But I just love how she uses her words in order to truly exasperate what she's trying to say to us. And it was about that peace, that amazing, not grace, but amazing peace. And she's inclusive in here. I like one part where she said, we listen carefully as it gathers strength. We hear a sweetness. The word is peace. It is loud now, louder than the explosions of bombs. We tremble at the sound. We are thrilled by its presence. It is what we have hungered for, not just the absence of war, but true peace, a harmony of spirit, a comfort of courtesies, security for our beloveds and their beloveds. It's just beautiful. I think it's just one of my favorite poems that she's written. I often like to read it and just share it, and it just brings a calm to you. So what did you guys think of the poem? Since you all have a copy of it, any thoughts?
There's a favorite that I like, and the pages isn't numbered on in my book, but
Okay.
it begins, hope is born again in the faces of children.
Mm-hmm.
And I especially like the next line, the next line. It rides on the shoulders of our aged as they walk into their sunsets.
Yes.
Oh, those two lines
Yes. Mhm.
are my favorites. My favorite
Isn't it
in this
beautiful?
poem. They're just those two.
Yes. It's
Hope
beautiful.
hope is born again in the faces of children.
Isn't that so true?
Yeah.
Isn't that so true?
And it rides on the shoulders
sunset.
of our aged as
Mhm.
they walk into their sunsets. I love those two lines. Those are
Beautiful.
my favorite lines.
Thank you for sharing those. It is just so
Yes.
beautiful.
Yes.
The circle of life. Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Beautiful, beautiful. I found it. It's this page in the children's book.
Oh,
Yes.
look at
I
that.
like page where it is Christmas time, a halting of hate time.
Yes.
And I don't know if that was happening this Christmas because
Mm.
I didn't see very many lights shining anywhere,
Yeah.
not in my neighborhood.
Not as much. True. It is Christmas time, a halting of hate time. Ms. Ruth, that's beautiful. I love those lines too. There's so much you can pull from it. But like you said, maybe not so much this year. There wasn't as much celebrating. I think coming from the
No, it
pandemic.
was not.
Yeah.
I had my great grandson. We had all kinds of decorations in the garage. And I said, are you gonna hang up lights this year? He said, oh, Grandma, not, you don't need that.
Hmm.
So we did not hang up anything this year.
Oh, that's hard.
And
Yeah.
of course, it's hard for me
Yeah.
to do it. When
Right.
I was much healthy, I would have done it, but
Right.
not with the spirit that my young people, even my
Right.
granddaughter agreed with him.
They don't want, oh, we gotta talk about that. We gotta change that. This is the halting of hate. We need to bring that spirit back. Good point. Good point. And true, very true,
Mhm,
very true.
mhm.
And
Yep.
if we are not, as I said, cleansing our souls, cleansing our body,
Mhm.
and falling on our knees and asking God to help,
Yeah,
we
right.
are way behind.
Hope and help. Mm-hmm. Very, very true. Very true. Well, Miss Joanne, anything to share?
No, I agree with all that you ladies have said, and I was sitting here thinking about the era that we're living in right now. And also about the way I felt when I was reading her book. And I thought, you know, this would be good for my girls, for my
Mhm.
kids to read.
Yeah.
And it's a different way of looking at things, a different focus on it.
Yes.
And I thought, wouldn't it be nice if they could have heard Maya Angelou and hear her voice as they would be reading it, you know?
Right.
It's just so touching,
It is. It
so
really.
touching. And back to the thing with the lights, I wonder if some of the decorations were not up this year because of inflation
Mm.
and you know, if your lights are out and you go to the store and they're twice as much this year as they were last year, then they
Mm.
probably decided not to put any up.
I
Yeah.
don't know if my great grandson had that kind of thing in his mind,
Oh,
that he had a different version of that.
Mm.
uh-huh. Well, now,
But
Grandma, I guess you'll have to have a conversation with him.
but I know that it's been hard to say unless these kind of things are put in a movie where they can watch it.
Mhm.
I don't believe a lot of them will read it.
Which is
And
sad. Too. We got to bring that love of books back.
You know,
exact,
Mhm.
yeah,
it's
I
not
think you're
there
probably
right.
right, Miss. I think you're probably right, Miss Ruth Ann, because it's not the wrapping stuff and all that. This is a level that I don't know if they even address it in school.
Mhm.
You know, so that the kids come away with an appreciation for reading something at this level.
They
Good.
are supposed to, but do they do it outside of school?
No,
No,
probably not.
I have not
no.
witnessed that where children were interested in reading outside of school. It is a demand. It was a demand when I was there
Yeah.
in school that you read a book every fifth of the 15 minutes of the day.
When I was a
But
teacher, same way. It was required.
You
No.
know, I go to the Mesa Public Library in my area here. And the Mesa Public Library has a wonderful children's section
Uh-huh.
of of readings and books for children of all different levels of reading. And when I go, it's that children's section is full all the time with parents and their kids, whether they're toddlers holding on to mom's hand or mom
Mhm.
helping the kids choose books. That library is, I think over time, especially here in my area of Mesa, has changed in the way that it has become more appealing and more
Mhm.
inviting and
Oh,
more of
good.
a second home to children and families who struggle. And so they come to that library because I see them, these little kids with their parents and sisters and whoever. And the library has expanded their services to include reading sessions for children.
Oh, that's wonderful.
It's all very free.
That's
But
wonderful.
you have to get there.
Yeah.
You have to
Yeah.
get there.
Tempe Library, they're amazing too.
Mhm.
They do some great things. I'm part of their boards.
Mhm.
Engage the families and bring them back in. It's so key, so important.
So I think that libraries do more.
They do. They bring.
Libraries do more, and they always do more, and they're always the place where you can be feeling safe
Right.
in a
It's that safe
library,
space.
surrounded by books.
That was always my safe place when I was a little girl. I loved the library. Loved it. Loved it.
Mhm.
Well, you guys, thank you. I'm excited about our next book.
Oh, good. Are you guys still going to be with us, Professor?
Oh, yes.
Oh, good. Okay.
It is Michelle Obama, The Light We Carry. She has a new book.
Oh.
And I wasn't so sure about it until I heard her talk about the book. And then I knew we really, really needed the book. She really breaks it down and offers stories and reflections on challenges, on power, on the potential dangers in the world around us. I really think you're going to enjoy this book. It's going to inspire you to look at our own lives and identify our sources of gladness and how to connect meaningfulness in this turbulent world, like we just talked about. You know, Maya Angelou talked about it. She talked about it in Amazing Peace, how we need that. And so in this book, we bridge over to that in modern times and get to analyze our own lives and examine ourselves. So you're going to really enjoy this one. And since I've turned 50, I'm now buying books with large print. Because I'm so glad they exist.
You know what, Professor? Me too. Me too.
Yeah, you can 50 today. So I love this large print. I'm like, oh, I can see this even without. Really good.
Well, turning 85 in March. I mean,
Ooh.
95 in March.
Oh, hey.
You cannot beat being grateful
That's
for
right.
being here.
Oh,
Isn't that what-
wonderful.
That
Wonderful.
story we read with Maya, when they told her write down her blessings, I want to challenge all of you to do that too for the new year. That's why I also shared that one, is before the new year, sit down and write down your blessings. That was that one on Porgy and Bess, remember, where the Wilkie told her to just sit down with that yellow pad and write down her blessings. You can see, you can hear. Do that.
Mhm, mhm.
And we'll talk about that when we come back in January. So it'll be January the 25th at 5 o'clock.
Wonderful.
Thank you.
Right. Well,
Wonderful.
you
Wonderful.
and happy birthday, Chris.
Thank
Yes,
you.
happy birthday, Chris.
Thank you,
Happy
Joanne.
birthday to you.
Chris, for your birthday, I'll be sending you the book because you get
Oh,
a birthday book. Happy birthday. You came here on your birthday. That's amazing. Happy birthday.
oh, thank you so much. Oh, what a nice gift. Oh, thank you.
You're welcome. So look for that. All right. Well,
Thank
thank
you.
you guys so much. Have a very happy holiday. Happy New
Thank
Year.
you.
And count your blessings.
Be safe and warm, everyone. Thank you for sharing my
Yes.
birthday with me.
You're
And I
Yes.
look forward to
welcome. Thank
seeing
It
you.
was a joy. It was a joy.
It was awesome.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for sharing it with us.
Thank
I
you.
love-
Thank you. And
makes me happy.
Joanne, I will see you soon, Joanne.
Yes, you will.
Okay, thank you. Thank you,
At the
Professor.
meeting.
Yeah, God bless you, Ruth.
Thank you.
Bye,
Have
Miss
a-
Ruth.
Have a very happy new year.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
You
you.
too. And you
too.
look so cute. You look so cute for 95.
I know. She was beautiful. I just love Miss Ruth.
It is the blessings of God that has brought me thus far.
Mhm,
Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
mhm. Yes, yes.
And
Thank
we're
you.
I
all
am
thankful. And we're
thankful.
all
I'm
thankful we're all thankful that it has brought you this far.
And
Yeah.
I'm thankful because
And
as
hope it takes
Maya,
us that far too.
I'm a little bit, I'm a year older than Maya, I think.
Are you?
Oh, really? Okay. She
I
was
was born in-
1942. 40.
I was born in
1928.
1928. I thought she was born in 29.
I think you are right.
I just looked her up on Google a little bit earlier, and I thought it said she was born 1928.
28. There it is. April the 4th, 1928.
That does make me a month older than her.
Yes, yep, there we go. There it is. In Arkansas. I knew I had that on there. Well, thank you all so much, and we'll be back together in January.
Mhm.
Okay.
All right.
Okay.
Thanks all.
Thank
And
you.
Dr. Durden,
Yes.
I think I might have said this before, but I want to thank you for your way of presenting these books because it makes it more interesting to me to read it and then come and discuss it. You
Oh,
have a
thank
very
you.
good, yes, I like the way you present it.
Oh, I appreciate that. You,
Mhm.
I don't know if my college students do as much, but thank you. That's the way I do it with them. It's fun. Thank
Well,
you.
everybody, Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. Thank
Happy New
you.
Year.
Bye
Good night.
all.
Thank
Thank
you.
you. Thank you.
Bye-bye. Thanks, Brianna.
Bye-bye.
Thanks. Bye.
Bye-bye, thanks.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you.